welcome back to another thrilling episode of Ask Cheshire TV. I'm Mark Nelson, Executive Director here at, you got it, Cheshire TV, and we will once again be speaking with a show producer, a longtime show producer, about their experiences working here at Cheshire TV. If you have any questions you would like us, and by us I mean me, but sometimes somebody else, to answer on this program, please drop us an email at askctv@CheshireTV.org, or send us a message on Facebook, or give us a call, or send us a letter. We are P.O. Box 903, Keene, New Hampshire 03431, or send a St. Bernard with a barrel, and inside the barrel, instead of hooch, is a little note. Something like that would work fine. We will be discussing today with Tom Cook. We'll be talking today with Tom Cook, who is my actual TV co-host of CINEMANIACS each and every week on Cheshire TV, and president of the board of directors at Cheshire TV, a role he has had for many moons, about his experience with the channel and doing the program that he and I both do each and every week. So take it away, me talking to Tom Cook. Hey, welcome back. And I am here with my TV co-host, Tom Cook, and president of the board of directors at Cheshire TV.
Oh, if you're gonna
and radio personality, and Keene State College professor, and enthusiastic Cubs fan.
There, keep going.
And the rest is classified. This is like, we just finished taping an episode of CINEMANIACS, and that is partially what I have you here for. We're interviewing people who do shows on Cheshire TV to talk about the experience of doing a show on Cheshire TV, and just the overall Cheshire TV thing. So I am a newcomer to this program. This is not the first. Took us to warm the seat that I'm sitting in currently. Originally, it was Lee Perkins and yourself who did this show. This has been going on for quite some time now.
I think we've been doing this for like 7 or 8 years.
I think so. I think I've been doing it for like 4.
Yeah.
But this isn't about me. How did this show start? I don't even know that.
Again, I've been doing the radio thing on local radio station WKBK for the Monadnock Radio Group, probably for about 20 years.
Wow.
And so when Lee got here and I became involved with early on with Cheshire TV, I was on not the very first board, but I think like a year after its original inception. Just because, I mean, obviously it's about media, it's about local community access and community involvement, so that attracted me. When I started working with the board, and Lee and I became, friends, not just because we were affiliated with Cheshire TV, we both found out very similar backgrounds, very similar interests, and so he was listening to the radio show every week. And I don't know if I started it or if he did, but we said, we should do this as a TV show. We should do a Siskel and Ebert kind of a thing. And he jumped right at that. What I do remember, this was funny, I remember Lee being very concerned because initially he was planning on CINEMANIACS being half an hour. And my thought was, half an hour? We can't do much. And his thought was, how are we going to fill half an hour? And very quickly we found out he and I can talk, as you know, ad nauseum, as most of the viewers know who've been following us since the beginning.
We sometimes spend 20 minutes in the first movie.
Right, and that's our problem, is that it's taken you and me some time to learn how to pace ourselves a little bit. But that was the funny thing. So Lee and I started this, I think, about 8 years ago. And it's an opportunity not only for us to, one of the things that I like about it personally is it forces me to get out and watch movies. We're all so busy these days that a lot of rest of life kind of catches up with you. What I enjoy about it is through our sponsors, Keene Cinemas, and our sad to miss sponsored video headquarters.
They've been gone a year, and we still constantly, our other sponsor,
10 years from now, I'll be sorry the video headquarters is gone. But it's an opportunity to, holy cow, we've got a show coming up every Monday. I think you and I have done probably about 200 episodes ourselves.
Easily.
It forces us to get out there and see everything and remain current. So that's one of the things I liked about starting the show.
So in case you weren't clear, it's a movie review show that we do.
There you go.
And how do you think the show has evolved much over time? This is basically, it's been the same since the beginning, right?
It really has.
You introduce a clip, the clip is the movie trailer, we come back and we talk about the movie and proceed to the next.
Right. The point of it being, as you know perfectly well, if it's whether it's a service to our viewers or whether they're paying because they have to listen to us, it's talking about what's current. Here's what's at the movie theaters. Here's what's recently out on video, and so the format has been pretty much the same. One thing that did change about 2 years into it, and I thought this was a lot of fun. It's always great, and I'm sure you're hit with this when you're out and people recognize you and they comment about the show. A woman stopped me, I believe it was at Target, and she said, I really like the show, but I'll come in the middle of one of your reviews and I won't know what you're talking about. And it was a terrific recommendation that we do those little supers underneath that says what the title of the show is that we're reviewing. And so, boy, we did that. We started that about 6 years ago, and the format really hasn't changed very much. I spend about 3 or 4 hours a weekend cutting all the clips together, and they're all in templates, but it's dropping stuff down and exporting them and blah blah blah. And so I'm always open to recommendations, but most of the time, if I'm talking to people who have seen the show, they seem to like it, and so if it sort of works, why fix it?
And this. Doing a show on the channel, not everybody, the feedback doesn't just flow in like so much rain in a monsoon. It is here and there. Now, you've had the experience predominantly of being out and about in public. And two of my favorites, you were far from home twice, and somebody said hello.
Yes, that's true. It is strange. It's funny because at Cheshire TV, and you would be able to tell me better what cable access group with whom we affiliate. It's PEG Access and all that, but
pegmedia.org is a site where you can upload your public access program and other stations can download it.
Right.
So because of that, we're seen all over the country on at least a dozen stations, and I've done the math, and the potential viewership, let's say, the number of households that could turn us on
yes.
Is about 2.5 million, which is a pretty staggering number
right.
when you think about the foolishness that we do every week here.
And if for some strange reason anybody wants to grab us on YouTube, you daily take that up there and cutting out the trailers.
I have to cut the trailers out on YouTube because they get flagged for copyright. I think it's because, the trailers can exist on YouTube, but I think it's because you are saying that this content is entirely your own, but
right.
they are noticing some of it isn't. So I just cut the trailers out and be it as it may. It airs in full on public access, minus the trailers on YouTube, and I post certain reviews on Facebook as a public thing
right.
too.
Right, but so your point being that there are lots of ways that people can watch the Cinemaniacs, and really anything that's on Cheshire TV if other cable access stations want to download it for whatever the fee might be. But yeah, it's very funny when, as I recall the last time, this was a couple of years ago, but my two sons, Benjamin and Walter, and I, we went back to Chicago to visit my mom and see a Cubs game. And on the way back, we stopped off in Cincinnati to Kings Island, which is a Six Flags place.
Where a famous Brady Bunch episode was shot.
Absolutely. I was there that very day, tell you the truth, because I remember the sign of
wow.
Florence Henderson. Poor Florence died recently,
yeah.
so I was thinking about that. But yeah, so we're at Kings Island, and my kids are riding the roller coasters and everything, and I get sick on the teacup ride. And so I was just sitting around waiting for one of them, and I forget how exactly he ordered it, but somebody came up and said, "Hey, Cinemaniac," and just mentioned that he'd seen me. He was local, but that he'd seen the show and he liked the show. And it's just so very strange to get that. Around here at Keene, they know my voice from the radio and they know us from this show. But it is kind of funny when you're someplace else and for some strange reason somebody recognizes you.
And you were in Las Vegas at
yes.
the National Association of Broadcasters
at NAB,
conference
right.
that we sometimes go to.
Right.
And somebody there had seen the show.
Right.
And this is a show that is created here in Keene, New Hampshire in a very small room by a very small number of people. And anybody who does a show on Cheshire TV has the ability. I tell everybody, we don't own anything you do here. It is yours to do with as you see fit. The only thing we ask is that you put it on our station. But what you do beyond that, go nuts. And we don't. Some people say that's a great job, and it's like, well, if by job you mean something you do for free and enjoy, then yes, because we don't get paid to do this.
Right.
All we get out of this is the ability to see movies for free, basically, and accolades. Once every 3 years, an accolade falls into our lap.
That's true.
And you have to dodge them, or else it could be a career ender. So you sort of answered one of the questions I already had for you, is what you bring to the table, because there are so many different ways you can do a show at Cheshire TV. Some people just show up and we have the crew set up everything and they sit down and they speak their piece for however long and they walk out and the show's finished.
Right.
You do a lot of homework, as it were. You bring us in advance of the show by a few hours all of the graphics that we're going to use that week. The guys set up all of the set and everything. I walk in and I do the least. I acquire movies for the show.
Right.
I deal with the video companies and the public relations firms who put out these press releases saying, we have this if you want to talk about it, and they'll send us streaming links or they'll send us DVDs that we'll try to watch in time to talk on the show.
Right.
And another aspect of the station that people can do if they choose is you can get a sponsor for your show. Now, sometimes sponsorship can mean money. Technically, if you get financial sponsorship for your show, Cheshire TV is entitled, I believe, to 10%.
I think it's 10, right?
If you get over $100 a year. But also it can be in-kind services. I think one program got free oil changes for a year for mentioning a place that did oil changes in town. Our sponsor is Keene Cinemas, in exchange for telling the public, well, I mean, what we talk about in the show predominantly is dictated by what they get in the theater. We want to tell people this is what's playing there. You can't do calls to action. That's against the rules here, but you can just state a fact. You know, Bloody Mama 2 is playing at Keene Cinemas. This is a fact, and we saw it. So we talk about what they see in exchange for getting in free. Now, if we want food, we pay for it. If we want to go see a movie, if you want to see a movie on Amazon that nobody has given us, you pay for it. So it's not like it's all above board is what I'm trying to say.
Right. But the great thing that I've discovered 20-some years ago is that it's tax deductible, too.
What?
Ooh.
Pardon?
Yes.
A little business talk here.
At least
it's
for me.
It
should be for you.
We should talk off air about this.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
as a film professor, there's an awful lot of fun stuff I can take off on my taxes.
So I guess one of the questions I have for everybody during these little sit-down sessions is what do you get out of doing this show? Like, what inside you makes you want to do this? Now, I'll be frank, because this is half my show now.
Right.
I like free movies.
Absolutely.
But for you, what is it what muscle are you exercising in doing this program?
Well, the free part of the movies is fun. I'd mentioned earlier, I worked in, I didn't mention this earlier, but I'm leading up to what I mentioned earlier. I worked in the professional motion picture and television industry for a while when I worked out in Los Angeles. That's where I got my training, and it's the mainstream motion pictures and television is what always has interested me, and that's why I went to grad school at USC and learned how to do that. So it's great to be able to stay current. There's so many movies out there. You and I probably know as well as anybody else how many movies are produced every year, and it's a fight, it's a battle to keep up with it. When this show is on hiatus occasionally, we don't very often take time, but I'll find myself occasionally not going to the movies for months, and something will come out and I go, oh, I missed that. It's what I personally get that makes this a couple of things that make doing the show as rewarding as it is. One is it's fun to have people come up and tell you certainly that they like the show, and so that's entertaining. It's nice to remain current and to have a reason, as I said, and this is what I'd said earlier, is it forces us to go out and watch pretty much everything. It's mainstream stuff that Keene Cinemas get, and so some of the art house things we didn't used to have much of an opportunity to see. Your connections with the studios and these other distribution venues is remedying a lot of that. So you and I really end up seeing, I bet 75%, at least having the opportunity to see 75% of what is out there. So remaining current is a lot of fun. Having the opportunity to sit back and just banter back and forth with you, and we do agree an awful lot, but as you say, sometimes I think the show is even that much more fun if we don't, if we have an opportunity to argue back and forth. It's fun to be in a community with guys like Nick and Charlie and Rick and Dave, everybody here around here at Cheshire TV. We're all here for the same reason. And so, not to get on a high horse or anything like that, but community access television, I think, is very important. It's an important venue to have out there, and so I think whatever we have the opportunity to do to perpetuate that, either my just doing a show or you and Rick and everybody else running this place, I think there's a lot worthwhile with that.
And this show is an example. The question of what do you get out of this, or why do you do it? Some people do programs on public access because they have a truth they feel that needs to get out there. Like it may be, I need to tell you all about this thing that I know about that you should know about. Sometimes it's sharing a passion. and sometimes it's.
And I think that one is more ours.
That's kind of this. It's a passion. This is what I love. This is
Sure.
what I've always loved. This is what I care about. And this is a chance for me to release the pressure that builds up in my head of all these thoughts about these things that it looks weird when you're by yourself
That's
talking
true.
like this, you know? I just put another chair. Was it George Carlin or somebody to get all
See,
the
so
people?
they're not going to put you away now because you have a venue.
George Carlin had some joke about get all the people who walk around talking to themselves and pair them up so it looks like they have conversations. Or maybe that was Stephen Wright. At any rate, that's in a sense what this is.
It's right.
For us, this is us. You know, this is not gravely important what we're doing. We're not talking about how to save your soul or how to save your life or anything. This is just something we care about. And Cheshire TV and Public Access gives us the venue to share what we care with the folks at home. And if they don't care, they can watch something else.
That's right.
One of the reasons I started as a viewer of this show, and I loved it because Siskel and Ebert had gone off the air, and there weren't really any movie review shows anymore. There were no shows on TV where people were talking about movies where they weren't just trying to sell a new movie that was coming out.
Okay.
And so I used to send long emails to you and Lee because I was just excited there'd be somebody on my level to talk about this stuff with. And then it became one of the two of you couldn't do the show because vacation or commitment to something else. So I was asked in as a guest host.
Right.
And I sat in the theater and I took notes in the dark and I typed them all up and I had 9 pages of notes on the 3 movies that I saw that week.
Right.
One of which was that god-awful Will Ferrell Land of the Lost feature film. And I never looked at the notes once during the episode.
Right.
And I realized I can just talk about
It's just
this
chatting,
stuff.
right.
So after a while, I was the guest host whenever one of you couldn't do it. After a while, Lee didn't want to do it anymore, and I slid right in. and it's been wonderful ever since. It's what I like to do. And I always tell people, the good thing is I get to see everything that comes out. And the bad thing is that I have to see
Right.
everything that comes out.
Oh, yeah.
But I really get a lot out of this myself. It feels like I'm exercising in some way my creativity. I feel very, very comfortable on camera where I wasn't before. That's what is allowing me to do the show that this is being couched within. and who knows what else. Perhaps telethon emceeing is next for me. Was there anything else you would like to tell the folks at home about what it takes to do a show at Cheshire TV or your experience with just the aspect of doing this TV program every week?
I think the important thing, and I can put on both my CINEMANIAC hat and my board of directors hat, and just say that what's most important is if anybody has, as you say, it's a venue to get out information about something that a viewer thinks other viewers would either like to know or would need to know or should know. And it's not that difficult to do. People might think, and you don't have to do an hour, people might think a half an hour, oh my God, that's so long a time. It really isn't. And it's not that difficult to do because if you come in and talk with you or talk with Dave or talk with Rick and discuss how to set something up, I think it's really very easy. Everybody here, all we're interested in is helping any viewer out there to get a show on the air. It might seem daunting to do something every week, but it doesn't have to be every week. You and I have the built-in opportunity to have media and material. It doesn't have to be that way. So again, putting my board of directors hat on, I think it's a call to anybody who's interested in creating some material. If you're watching, give us a call and let's see what we can put on.
And it can just be for fun.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what
Absolutely.
this is.
You know what we don't have, at least to my knowledge, and I've tried to get, and my kids are too old now, is a kids show. A show with kids for kids.
I've thought about doing, there's all this public domain movie footage out there.
Okay.
You utilize some of that in the clips that you do for the show.
Right.
And I utilized a lot of it for Saturday Fright Special when we were doing that, the horror host show. I've always thought about running either old movie serials, because there's a ton of those every Saturday morning, or taking kids' cartoons and packaging that as like a bozo kind of show.
Okay, sure.
But I don't think I want that to be me. I've been called a bozo. I don't think I want to be the bozo.
I was thinking,
a kid-oriented show.
No, not just for kids, but by kids. Kids sitting around talking about kid stuff, video games. I don't know what it might be.
There's no real age floor on how young somebody can be to come and be on a show here. I believe the age of 14 is how old you need to be able to check equipment out with a parent's signature. But to come in and do a show, we really could have a show. I would love to see the works of Eugene O'Neill performed by children.
Or dogs. That might work too.
Really, honestly, anything. People come to us sometimes and they have an idea for a show and they're asking us if it would be okay or if we like the idea. That's got nothing to do with it.
Right.
We're here exclusively to make you and your idea happen. We're not going to say no to anything. Unless you want to do high diving in the studio, that's just not possible.
Right.
But we're here to make it happen. So no idea is not good enough. Nobody can have too little experience. We're just here to make it happen. And speaking of making it happen, I'm sure you want to go make the next thing in your life happen. So I thank you
Absolutely.
for taking a little extra time today to do this.
Not a problem.
And we'll both see you on CineManiacs. Premieres Mondays at 9, runs throughout the week, and we're on YouTube. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on TV. So that was my talk with Tom Cook, my TV co-host of CineManiacs and president of the board of directors at Cheshire TV. Hope you found it interesting or entertaining or amusing or wonderful music while you're cooking spaghetti or folding clothes. Now we will go to a quick look behind the scenes of this very program. And there it is. How are you? More in-depth behind the scenes are coming, I promise. This is just a short show for me today. If you have any further questions or first-time questions for us, please give us an email at askctv@cheshiretv.org, or send us a message on Facebook, or send us a physical letter in the physically writing implement of your choice. It could be Crayola, it could be a quill pen, it could be the old letterpress. We don't really care. That is P.O. Box 903, Keene, New Hampshire 03431. And we hope to bring you more interviews with show producers and Cheshire TV staff and volunteers and everybody, just to give you, the viewer, a better idea of what goes on here. And, you know, honestly, hopefully to encourage more people to come down and play, because it's a heck of a lot of fun. It is relatively free. There's little to no cost involved with what we're doing here, especially if you're a volunteer. You won't have to pay us to volunteer. We never charge for people to come and carry heavy things for us. Until next week, I am Mark Nelson, Executive Director of Cheshire TV, telling you, see you on TV. Bye.